Hey guys, Frank here with a quick announcement. We have decided to change hosting companies because of the ongoing issue with ad placement. 99.8% of you will be completely unaffected by this, but if by chance in a couple of weeks a Saturday comes and goes without a new episode appearing for you, please let us know so we can figure out how to get us on whatever platform you're listening to us on. The rest of you won't have to do a thing except enjoy the show without any ads. And you may or may not know this, but you can always listen to the show at thankgodimatheist.com. And now, this week's episode. Everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from crazed destruction in Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist,
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, we're going to be talking about end times and the fact that, like, maybe
apocalypse.
For once, I kind of know what the end of days feels like.
Are they right? The question is, are they right? They might be right.
There is no doubt in my mind that they are wrong. But
That's true.
Maybe I have a little bit of empathy about what the end of days
Oh my
feels
God.
like.
You guys,
So.
Listen. Every third tree in Salt Lake City was knocked down by a windstorm.
I know.
It was crazy. We had hurricane level winds in Salt Lake City. So
Yeah.
we're a little shook.
But we're not alone in this. Like there was a derecho, like it hit the Midwest. California's on fire.
Yeah.
Like there's that dam broke up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like it's just been everywhere and everything. So we'll be talking about all of that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Or on the second half of the show, I guess I should say. And in the meantime, though, we have some news that's happened this week news stories we'd like to discuss. Dan.
Sure.
Dan.
Yeah. What? What do you got?
Mike Lee. Supreme Court shortlist occupant, Senator Mike Lee of Utah.
Oh God, what a peach he is, and he might be the best human.
Like if Trump does get a second term, and he appoints Mike Lee or his ding-dong brother to the Supreme Court, holy shit, we're all fucked. Anyway.
Yeah. Honestly, there is no better reason not to vote against Donald Trump than the prospect of Mike Lee being a Supreme Court justice.
Well, and here's a great way just to sum up Mike Lee. He's too conservative for Utah. You know what I mean? Like, he got in there, he snuck in during that whole Tea Party movement thing, and they ousted Bennett, who was a perfectly reasonable human being, a conservative, yes, but reasonable.
Yeah, that was when the GOP decided we're done with reasonable.
Yeah, and they got rid of all these, more moderate types in the party. Although Bennett was pretty conservative, but nonetheless, Mike Lee has a beef with the media in general. He hates the media, right? But his little fight against the media has found its way back to Utah.
Yeah.
And an unlikely target, Dan. He's pissed off at KSL.com.
Oh my God.
Which is the locally owned, it's owned by the LDS Church, the Mormons.
Yeah.
Own the whole KSL and Desert News, news operation.
Yeah,
they have the TV station that's KSL. They've got KSL Radio, and of course, then they have the Desert News. But KSL.com is where you go, where they sort of have all of the news, everything that's coming out of their sort of media and newsrooms and whatnot. It all gets kind of just put online at KSL.com. And he says that KSL.com is too liberal and he wants the LDS Church to sell it.
Wow.
He says,
you guys, this is Utah's Fox News. Like, there's nothing you couldn't
No, that's
possibly
a little bit
make
mean
the case
against KSL. Like, it's crazy conservative, right? But they're not foaming at the mouth, and I mean, it's mainly just like in the afternoon on KSL TV, it's just a lot of locally produced, like, you know, home shows and whatnot.
Well, yeah.
Like, like, and people standing in studios, like, cooking food and doing crafts and, like, you know, after they get done with whatever soap operas are still on TV. But
I'm saying it's a super conservative outlet.
Organization. Oh, yeah. Well, and it's so pro LDS Church and it's pro conservative values, and so, you know, they talk a lot about family, and they talk very openly about faith and religion. Like, there are parts of the Deseret News, if you were reading it, that seem perfectly normal, right? It's a normal newspaper, and then you flip the page, and it's just it's so unabashedly Mormon. Right. So unabashedly religious and but anyway, so he's all upset, and this really stems from, it's been going on for a little while, but he saw this post or a tweet that KSL.com they'd retweeted, I guess, an AP story or something like that. And it said, President Donald Trump's younger brother, Robert Trump, a businessman known for an even keel that seemed almost incompatible with his family name, died after being hospitalized in New York, the president said in a statement. And so he says that the tweet was appalling, and that KSL was spiking some sort of political football, essentially like dancing on the grave of or whatever. And I had to reread it like 2 or 3 times in order to figure out what it was that he was pissed off about. Yeah. And it's he says that he's known for an even keel that seemed almost incompatible with the family name. Like, this is some dig on, like, it's saying that Donald Trump doesn't have an even keel. Well, I'm sorry. Like,
have you seen anything Donald Trump has literally ever done?
Of all the criticisms that you could have of Donald Trump that would sound partisan, right? Acknowledging that he doesn't have the most even temperament. That's clearly just a fact. Well, anyway, he goes on and he's like, you know, talking about how the AP is this liberal, you know, news gathering organization that keeps getting more liberal and this and that. And I'm like, well, I mean, no, the AP's not liberal. And I got online, and there's this media evaluating site that I will go to sometimes to be like, wait a second, where is stuff falling on the spectrum, right? Like, if I don't know what something is, I'm like, surely they'll have the AP on here. It's, you know, I've gone for like lesser known things just to be like, wait, who is this?
Right. Totally.
And AP right in the middle. Right?
Yeah, it's like literally the most trustworthy of all of the new national news organizations in our country.
It's in the center, right?
Yeah.
Just like Reuters is in the center. Like these sort of what do you call them? Like the wire service type news agencies that AP, there's not like, you know, the AP Times, you know, newspaper. They just write stories and send them out on the wire, right?
But they vet them. They work hard to make sure that...
they have a standard, right?
Yeah.
And, but anyway, they fall politically. They're in the center. And he's just like, he's up in arms. Apparently, KSL.com deleted the tweet and apologized.
What?
After all of this.
Jesus Christ.
So now Lee is feeling like even like you know, emboldened, exactly. And I guess there was another article that focused on something that when Trump the article said that Trump praised the supporters of QAnon and that he suggested he appreciates their support of his candidacy, right?
Because he doesn't care who's voting for him as long as they're voting for him.
Exactly. And so Mike Lee goes, is that what he said? I don't think it was. But KSL said it was, so it must be true, right? And so the fact of the matter is Trump was asked about believers of the QAnon conspiracy, and he said, I don't know much about the movement other than I understand that they like me very much. I've heard these are people that love our country. Dude, like, that sounds exactly like what the EP said he said.
Right?
Like, so anyway, this is going on. I didn't really know about the ownership structure of the whole thing, but it doesn't really matter. We don't need to get into that. But KSL.com isn't KSL TV or KSL Radio. It's like its own thing. They just have the brand, right? But nonetheless, it's owned by the LDS Church, who has responded back basically. Well, not the church actually, of course, wouldn't respond to something like this. It was KSL.com that responded to it. And they said, "We are disappointed in the comments from Senator Lee. We have a strict policy of political neutrality and work very hard to keep political bias out of our newsroom." They say, "We strive to serve the various audiences we reach." And then they actually get to the crux of the whole thing. They say, as a local media outlet, we do not have the luxury of a cadre of reporters in Washington. And so we are dependent to some degree on wire services for national and international coverage.
Sure.
Absolutely. As does any local news outlet, right? Like, and they're using, it's not like the New York Times, which isn't even, their reporting isn't even that liberal.
Right.
One of my MSNBC. Let's say MSNBC had like a wire service that they started, right? You know, it's not even like they're taking it from that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's amazing to hear a Mormon senator criticizing the news outlet that basically, if you read it, assumes that Mormonism is true. Like,
right.
One of the facts that they will not shy away from is that Mormonism is true.
Right. Well, and I love that he's like, it's too liberal, LDS Church, just sell it. And it's like, well, maybe they're not the ones that are out of touch with reality, Mike Lee.
Yeah.
Maybe you should look in the mirror slightly. Right?
Okay, Frank, you literally just defended the LDS Church as being less out of touch than somebody. I just think
Mike
that's
Lee?
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it says a lot that's the... But of course they're less crazy than Mike Lee. Of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they believe things that are more reasonable
right.
than fucking Mike Lee. He is
Mike, when you are
worst.
too crazy for Mormondom, you should probably you should do some searching, some soul searching. All right. Well, I'm going to take us up to the Great White North, up to Canada.
Oh.
Where in Nova Scotia, there is a bit of a dust-up. Now, Canada has a nationwide right to die that went into effect. They call it the Medical Assistance in Dying, or MAID. That I think their Supreme Court had a ruling that made it legal across the country. And then they passed some laws, some national laws that basically sort of spelled out how it should work, etc.
Right.
Well, an 83-year-old man in Nova Scotia was diagnosed with chronic pulmonary disease, advanced chronic pulmonary disease, which is advanced enough that he definitely qualifies for this medical assistance for his death. And he's ready for it. He wants it. He signed up, and then someone intervened. And that someone is his 82-year-old wife, who filed an injunction with the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia, which forced him to cancel his plans to die, and also probably put a bit of a strain on the marriage, if I'm being honest. She apparently,
unless this is his way of getting a divorce, you know,
right?
Like, he's just done.
Yeah, her claim is that he's not trying to die because of his pulmonary issues, but rather that he's trying to die because he has high anxiety and mental delusions. Which, when you're 80, what did I say? 83, and you're suffering from those things, why doesn't that qualify you to kill yourself if you want to? Like, what are we even talking about here?
Oh.
But
well, is she trying to make some sort of not sound mind sort of argument?
Kind of, yeah. So she files this thing. The real truth of the matter is that she has a moral opposition to the whole concept, which I think is some bullshit. Because it's his life, not hers. You know what I mean? Like, yes, this is hard on everybody, but why are you making a dying man's life even harder? Even if you have been married to him for almost 50 fucking years.
And that, I'm sure, was hard enough.
Yeah. You'd think she'd want him to die at that point.
Yeah, what? 82-year-old? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, okay.
No,
but clearly,
I mean, this is really, really, really sad.
This is heartbreaking. You're absolutely right. It's
she just doesn't want him to die. Probably, right?
Yeah. She's having trouble letting go, and so she's. But like, it seems like handling that through the courts is the wrong way to go. If that's your beef, I mean, it could be, and honestly, this sounds pretty likely to me. It could be that she thinks that if he does this, he's going to go to hell.
Oh,
you know what I mean? This sounds very much like a religious objection that she has, and she's trying to save him from doing a thing that will send him to hell for eternity. Which I get that notion, but fucking let the man go. He's suffering, and she's like, no, just suffer a little while longer. So anyway, she filed the injunction. A judge has denied the motion to stay the ruling. So in doing so, I guess there was a ruling, and then so there was an injunction. The Supreme Court dismissed her injunction, and she filed for an appeal, I guess.
Okay.
It's not 100% clear to me what is happening, but what I do know is happening is that a justice has denied her injunction.
Oh.
Meaning that while the case is supposed to have a formal hearing on September 24th, he may not show up to that because he now is clear to go ahead and do it if he wants to before then.
Oh.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky. And man, this is
I don't know. They might get him on failure to appear or something. You know?
At that point, though, it's yeah. What a rough thing. Like, what a rough way to end your marriage. Like, don't go out with, like, he's trying to die with dignity, and she's like, oh no, we're gonna make this ugly before you go. This is going to be nasty before you go.
Oh, God.
Very
it
sad.
makes me so sad, Dan. That's the worst. All right. Well, Dan.
Well, I'm sure that your next story will cheer us right up. Whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's... But we're so cheerful normally on this show.
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
I'm a little Mormon heavy this week. This story is about a group of LDS women who are organizing against Donald Trump for this election. They have formed a group called Women of Faith Speak Up and Speak Out.
Okay.
That includes business and political and community leaders, leaders of nonprofits. There's a business professor involved. There's a former state, representative for the Utah House, Republican, of course, and a former state Supreme Court justice has gotten involved, and they are doing some messaging online, and they're trying to reach specifically other Mormon women who they know might need to feel like they're not alone in their dislike of Trump, their unease about Trump, and that it's okay to vote for Biden, right? You don't have to vote for Trump is essentially what their message is.
Sure.
And
which, to any of our listeners, That could be a tough sell to a Utah Mormon.
I know. However, Utah, so Mormons in general and have voted very in similar numbers to how evangelicals have voted, sort of over the last couple decades, right? In fact, this article has some numbers about this. So basically, their support of Republican presidents has been sort of in lockstep with them, right? But in 2016, the year that we voted in Trump, 81% of white evangelicals voted for Trump compared to only 61% of Mormon voters.
Interesting.
Right? And we know that was, if you'll recall, there was the third party candidate in Utah that took like 20 or 30% of the vote. I forget
he was
the guy's
a Mormon
name. Mormon guy.
Evan Mullen?
If that's not it, it's really close, right?
Something like that.
Anyway, he took a lot of what would have been sort of the Trump vote, and it gave Mormons a place that they felt like they could put their vote, right?
Evan McMullen.
Yeah. Anyway, so what are we looking at right now? What do Mormons sort of think about Donald Trump? Apparently, nationally, 55% of LDS voters, or it's only 55% of LDS voters, approve of the president's performance, with 40% actively disapproving, compared to 71% of evangelicals who approve and 26% who disapprove. So there's no data specifically about LDS women, but sort of no national data specifically about LDS women, but there is for Utah, right?
Okay.
Half of self-described, very active LDS women in Utah strongly or somewhat disapprove of the president, and 59% of somewhat active women disapprove, right?
Wow.
And this is in contrast with LDS men in Utah, of whom, 2/3 approve of the president. And so what they're thinking is they have a real chance to, by messaging both here and nationally, because there's actually a lot of Mormons in a couple key states, and if they could just reach a lot of these people, they feel that it's like, okay, Utah's probably not going to vote for Biden, right? Like that's kind of just a given, right? But it's just this fascinating thing because, like, there's apparently 330,000 Mormons in Texas, right? If you could get a portion of them to not vote for Trump and to vote for Biden, roughly 100,000 in North Carolina, which I think is crazy, 180,000 in Florida, 180,000 as well in Arizona, and Arizona is like this as far as like how it's going to go.
Right.
Most likely, the polling is looking pretty good for Biden, but nonetheless, I just think this is fascinating that these Mormon women are just saying like, no, fuck no. This guy is so vile. They really dislike him. They've let's see. This is what one of the. This is a former deputy chief of staff, for Governor Gary Herbert, Utah's current governor. Her name's Allie Isom. She's worked in the Mormon Church's public relations department until earlier this year. She's actively involved in this group, and she says, "This November, as women of faith and covenant, we reject the ugly, cruel, and corrupt to champion principle, unity, harmony, and integrity." And she says that they're trying to reach the silent majority and let them know that there are others who feel the current tenor in public discourse is unacceptable and even dangerous. So, Great. That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I'm skeptical.
Skeptical of what? I'm sorry.
That they're going to have any appreciable effect. But
I think, though, boy, it does seem to be what's the right what's the right word? It might not be about this election, especially for Utah, right?
Right.
But funny things are happening in Utah.
It's definitely like it used to be the reddest of the red states. Not too long ago, this was the conservative stronghold, the GOP stronghold of the country, and now it's pretty pink. It's pink. It's definitely lightening up.
Yeah. So I think that like people, because of Trump, they're feeling like they can maybe vote for a Democrat. And once you do it once, right, it'll probably be easier the second time, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, I registered to be a Republican.
Yeah. Me too.
And I haven't turned back. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
I'm not going to vote
we're not going to vote for any of the Republicans that are currently around.
No,
I don't mind voting for a Republican if I think they're better than the Democratic candidate. That doesn't bother me at all.
Well, I voted for Huntsman back in the day.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, I'm going to take us to Florida, where there's been a bit of a row in the Oskaloosa County Sheriff's Office. Okaloosa. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's one of those weird words.
It sounded great the first time you said it. You should have just stuck with it.
I should have just gone with it.
I was congratulations, Dan. You knocked that one out of the park. But
we would have gotten an email. It's fine. Anyway, here's someone from Okaloosa is now there's definitely going to write in. Now I've just guaranteed it. That's fine. Write in. Tell me how to pronounce it. That's great. Anyway, their sheriff's office sent an email out to all the staff members, which was like, hey, great job. I just wanted to touch base and say that that you shouldn't say anything inflammatory online, that because we don't want anything getting misrepresented or anything out in the media. Now, normally, that's just sort of that's sort of a thing that, any organization that is represented by their, by their employees needs to sort of keep tabs on what messaging is going out. But in this case, it got a little weird because this email was also heavily laden with scripture, which is yucky, and also because it is a governmental entity, not in the strictest sense illegal. So unfortunate. So one brave and possibly very stupid soul decided to speak up about this. Deputy David Holt decided to basically just say, "Hey, look, I'm of Native American descent. My spiritual beliefs have nothing to do with your Christianity. So, how about you don't do that?" And also let's point out that like the policy of the sheriff's office and the policies of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission all are kind of like, against the sharing of scripture in official things. So yeah, this is of course one of those moments where a hero steps forward and is immediately punished for stepping forward and just saying what should be obvious to all of them. Oh, no. Now Mr. Holt is on administrative leave while they figure out what's to happen.
He's on administrative leave?
Oh yeah. Yep. He said, "Hey, how about the Constitution?" And they said, "Hey, how about you're not going to be a cop for a while."
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you gotta love that, Dan.
Yeah, it's they don't like hearing that they've done something wrong. I think if there's one thing that we can learn from the last few months about police officers, they don't like hearing that you don't approve of what they did. They don't want to hear about it.
Oh golly, Dan!
All those Black Lives Matter protesters, they're not into you. They don't like that. Stop telling them that they're doing things wrong.
Yeah. Dan.
Yeah.
Here's somebody who did something wrong.
Uh-oh.
And I find it both surprising and upsetting.
Okay.
Because I thought he was doing better than this. Pope
dear.
Francis.
Oh, dear.
He met with worshipers this last week with his mask off. And he went around shaking hands and reaching out to touch the worshipers. And he, in his little speechy thing, he says that the pandemic would be defeated by God's love, and that the Christian response to the pandemic and to the consequent socioeconomic crisis is based on love. And that we could emerge from the coronavirus crisis all the better if we seek the common good together. I don't know what any of this has to do with wearing a mask or not.
Not common good enough to like just be decent and not and wear a mask.
Yeah, get this. A virus does not recognize barriers, borders, or cultural or political distinctions, but must be faced with love, without barriers, borders, or distinction. Do you know what a virus does recognize? Yeah. At least in some small regard, at least enough to statistically help with the spread. It recognizes the fucking mask.
That's right. Yeah, that's crazy.
God. And so, he added to this, we can heal the world if we all strive alongside each other for the common good. You are not. You have rejected the common good. The moment you took off the mask and started shaking people's hands, I'm so mad at him right now.
Yeah.
What a fucking piece of shit. Because he's been okay up until now on this topic.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't aware of this, and I assume most of our listeners are 100% on board with this, but like your mask protects other people from you. Like,
right.
There's a good chance that even if you have the virus, you won't know it for a while.
Right.
So you wear a mask when you're around other people to protect them from you, and hopefully they wear a mask to protect you from them.
Exactly.
But your mask isn't about protecting yourself.
No.
So him removing the mask isn't an act of, like, I am brave for me. It's an act of, I don't really care that much about you.
I'm going to shed some virus all over you.
Yeah. So, okay, cute.
I'm mad.
Popey. Real cute.
Popes suck. Popes in general just suck. You know, you might start off, like, being hopeful. You know, we were hopeful with Francis. I remember being like, wow, that's a different kind of pope, right?
He sure did talk different.
Yeah.
But he doesn't walk different. His walk is the pope walk. All right. Well, in North Carolina, there was students at East Alexander Middle School received free daily planners. Isn't that nice? Little books.
Oh yeah, real like little Franklin planners.
Little sort of daily planner. Not as good as a Franklin. Remember when we did planning in a physical book? Yeah, I don't think any of these kids are going to do that. They all have iPhones or whatever. They're not going to.
Dan, I will actually say that from time to time in my life, I do interact with a young person, I'm speaking more college aged.
Okay.
There were a few at work, right?
Sure.
And they loved their planners.
Okay.
I was shocked. And they would get it out, and they'd have their highlighters, and they'd color code, and this and that. Of course, they were all young women. I never saw any of the young men do that. But but very sort of, it was this organizing sort of fastidiousness, right? That I was like, good for you, right?
People still love it. People still love the analog log. They love their books.
Yeah.
Andrea loves a good planner.
Yeah.
Physical write in it with a pen type planner.
Planners are not just for old people, right?
Well,
in fact, I would say old people are probably, I mean, not elderly, right? But like olders like us are probably more likely to really like the one in our phone.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Who knows? Anyway, well, the as students opened their planners, their middle school planners, they may have noticed that a section was cut out on the back page.
What?
These planners had been donated by the Sulphur Springs Baptist Church, and included Bible verses on the back, which school officials very rightly noticed and said, "Oh, that's not okay." And they actually took the correct action and cut it out. I think that's amazing. I'm so glad. I school system executive director Alicia Clower. You go. I love it. Well done. She claimed separation between church and state was important, and then went ahead and did that, pointing out that it would be breaking the law to include the scripture.
Wow. Can I ask a question? How did this actually play in the community, though? Because Silver Springs, what did you say, Baptist Church?
Sulphur
Springs Baptist Church.
Because
they were upset because they
what you want to do is name your
agenda.
church after something stinky. That's what.
Well, I mean,
no, actually, the church responded in a sort of gentle way. Actually, they said, well, one church member said that they thought it was okay. It was a little disappointing. But they said
I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. This is not a real news story. This doesn't happen, Dan. Total fucking bullshit. This is not how people in the world today respond. A school administrator did the right thing and came out for the separation of church and state, and then the most obviously offended party is like, well, yeah, we see their point.
Yeah. Maybe that's why it made the news. Maybe that's why it's newsworthy. Breaking news today. Everybody did the right thing. Holy shit. We've never seen it before.
Where is Sulphur Springs? I don't know where this place. Where is this?
This is Alexander County, North Carolina.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Good on you guys.
So,
congratulations for being reasonable.
Yeah, I'm sure that means that something horrible is going to happen next, but for right now, we can be happy with them.
That's awesome.
Well, if you guys have any predictions as to what awfulness is coming for Alexander County, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Yes.
There's a voice that has been missing from the show for a while. A voice that it's such a good voice. It's attached to such a good human being.
Yeah. Yeah. A voice that we all need. So, look, every now and then, what we need in our lives is a coach. And Dave Dobenmeyer, Coach Dave, has stepped up to be that voice in the darkness.
Yeah.
He had some really bad experiences this week, and he just needs to vent about it. But he's clever.
Yeah.
I got to say this. He really gets it. So let's talk a little bit with Coach Dave about masks.
I ain't wearing no mask. You hear me? I ain't wearing no mask. I know the mask doesn't work. And I'm not going to wear my mask to make the worker at T-Mobile feel better. I'm not going to do that. That's bearing false witness. I know the mask doesn't work. I'm not going to wear my mask when I go into Staples. I'm just not going to do it. I know the mask doesn't work. I'm not going to try to make the people at Best Buy feel better by putting one on. I don't care what their sign says. I couldn't care. I just couldn't. I had to fight 3 fights yesterday over the stinking mask. Now, to some of you, that may not bother you. Folks, I want you to know this from my heart to your heart. I think the forced wearing of masks is exceedingly dangerous to our American society. And I cannot believe, as I go out on a perfectly beautiful, sunlit, warm day here in Ohio, the number of people I see outside wearing masks. Driving down the road in a car wearing a mask. I can't believe it. And I made the decision, for me, I'll have no part of it. I will have no part of it. T-Mobile guy said, well, we'll have to do the work outside. They wouldn't let me in. And the boss got involved. The manager got involved with it. I said, ma'am, I have a heart condition. I don't even have to tell you that. But I have reasons I'm not going to wear a mask. It's medical. And are you refusing to give me service because of a medical condition that I have? And she just looked at me because she didn't know what to say. And then I really pulled the trump card. I said, I think I was born with this medical condition. I'm not sure. I think I was. And I want to ask you something, ma'am. Would you refuse to serve somebody because they're black? Of course, your eyes got as big as dollar bills. How dare I say that? So I was born with this condition, ma'am. And you would not ask a black man to step outside of the building, and you're not going to ask me to do it. She stormed away, as you can probably imagine. Ruined my whole day.
Oh, his day got ruined.
Oh man, It ruined his whole day because he's
a dick.
You know, it's getting to the point where you can't be an asshole to people in stores without it ruining your whole day.
Right. When he starts off and he's like, mentions T-Mobile, I'm like, that's strangely specific. This is going someplace. I suspect he actually did this. What a horrible there are a couple medical conditions, right, that have been listed. They're for real, right? But are there are people in particular, like people with PTSD who might find having a mask on triggering. And then there were a couple others, some respiratory something or other. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I looked it up. And so there are actual claims to this, right? But that's not what he led with. And it's also not true in his case because he's lying.
Yeah.
Right.
He's you don't have a heart condition.
Right.
And you definitely don't.
And if you do,
there's nothing in you that believes that you had it since birth. And also, obviously not relatable in any way to racism.
Oh my God.
Like, in no way is that the same thing, and you fucking know it. But you know, wearing a mask would be bearing false witness.
Right. So lie.
Because he knows that they don't work. He knows it. Like, I don't know if you've Googled do masks work recently, but you'll find eminent sources, Mayo Clinic, CDC, MIT, Stanford, all talking about how, masks 100% work. Not 100%, but they definitely work. Not 100% of the time, but they cut the transmission rates down significantly.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
I love that he says he had this fight 3 times.
I know. He just went around
Because guess what happened all 3 times? You didn't get to go to the fucking store. You didn't get your phone from T-Mobile, buddy.
You didn't get a new TV
sorry.
from Best Buy or whatever else you were getting. Whatever you were getting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he didn't even get his highlighters and Post-it notes from Staples.
I love it.
Poor guy.
These are the stores. I mean, he had, like, first of all, I've had that day. I've had the T-Mobile Best Buy Staples day, right? Like, it already is not a good day. Like, that's probably more what ruins your day than... Well, no. He didn't get his way. Of course it ruined his day. A white Christian man...
who's denied anything for any reason. It's
totally ruined his day.
Unbelievable.
Poor Coach.
And his objection here, like, how big of an asshole do you have to... Here's the thing. Okay, let's say that you are convinced that masks don't work. He knows that it's not going to actually hurt him. He knows his heart condition. He'll be just fine if he wears a mask.
Right.
He knows that for sure.
Right.
But he's convinced that they don't work. Fine. You could still wear a mask and just not be a dick about it. You can make other people feel better.
Right. Yeah.
But no, he needs to prove to the world that he's right by not being allowed in stores and arguing and making somebody else's life a little bit harder, which, by the way, I think is a segue into Donnie's voicemail. So I think we should play that.
Excellent.
Hey, Frank and Dan. This is Donnie in Mount Shasta, California. I'm a little backed up because it's been a really busy summer, so I just listened to one of your Frank and Dan diaries in which you talked about how it must be hell for service industry people right now. Well, I'm a 20-year server. It's been my career. I've traveled the country doing it, and it is hell. From top to bottom, those businesses that can be open, we're doing the very best we can under some very difficult circumstances. But there's an upside. At this point, I actually have gotten to the point, and all of my coworkers have gotten to the point, where we'll tell you to go screw yourself if you can't follow the rules and if you can't be respectful and if you can't be patient with us while we're doing this work, because we're all putting ourselves in jeopardy. So if you could just do a public service announcement at some point and just let everybody know, we're doing the best we can, and we're working as hard as we can, and we don't have to be here, but we are really grateful to be working, and we're really grateful to be able to take care of people. But wear your freaking mask, obey the social distancing rules, sanitize your hands, wash your hands appropriately, and just be nice. Anyway, thanks. I always enjoy your show. Bye.
There's your PSA.
Oh, thanks, Donnie.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, it sounded a lot like you said Dottie, but that's okay. Yeah, that's a great... look, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are about the masks. Just be a good person.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of Christ, be a good person. These people are working so hard.
Yeah. Yes, this is their job. It's their income, right? Like there's like they have to be there, right? The restaurants are open for better or for worse in most of the country, right?
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that the money right now is great, right?
No.
And so this is about just getting through this time, and they're probably working extra hours, which means even exposing themselves even more.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so stressful.
Yeah.
And then on top of just the stress of doing the job, they get assholes being cunts to them.
And I have to say, Dan, that it also has to be a larger percentage of just the assholes in general, right? Or the people who are out in public right now, right? Like going to restaurants.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I would have to think that that's who it is. Like I know there are situations where you're in a bind. You're going into a restaurant. You're getting your meal, right? Like, and you probably don't even want to, but you have your mask on. You feel okay because you're 6 feet. Your tables are all spaced out and everything, and the staff's all wearing their masks. And so like I get it. Like there's situations where maybe you have to go into a restaurant. And although personally, been doing takeout. it seems like the people who have that attitude of let's just get takeout and that these are the people who probably are some of your nicer guests, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so
the ones who are going to the restaurant are the Coach Daves of the world.
I know. And it's just it's like, right now, Donnie, you're doing the Lord's work out there. So
stay strong, servers.
Yeah.
We salute you.
Yeah.
Hey, we had some folks write into us also. Vincent wrote in to say, I'm late to the conversation as I suddenly realized I had a great experience in a reused church.
Oh.
You remember a couple weeks ago we talked about repurposing throwaway church buildings that no longer could financially support church, but yet are there and are being repurposed. Vincent goes on, personally, churches should all be made into housing, in my opinion. But if not, I came across a great alternative here in Montreal. Right before the shutdown of everything, I went to see a cabaret/acrobatic show in a repurposed church.
Oh.
Amazing. The trapeze act was a little scary as the guy whizzed inches from our heads, but what a place to see a cabaret show.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's a performance space. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what you're used to seeing as a performance is, a guy in a costume who gets up and says some stuff. There's music. Mm-hmm. It's not a very good show.
It's usually terrible.
Usually. But it's a performance space. So go for it, I say.
Yeah, nice. Fun.
Do we have another voicemail, don't we?
We do. We have another. Let's see. This is from a listener who he's sharing a story about basically his experience watching somebody change and as they get into a religion, right? And so I thought it was an interesting story. So let's.
It's how religion ruins everything.
Hey, Frank and Dan. My name's Mark. I've been listening to you guys' show for about 6 months now, and it's one of my favorite podcasts. I'm also a competitive weightlifter. Seems like recently in our community we've taken a significant loss. One of our more significant female weightlifters has committed to Islam, and because of that, she was a very, very good athlete. She really had Olympic chances. She married an Islamic man, committed to Islam, and was made posts about how you're not supposed to show her skin anymore on Instagram or post any videos of her previous weightlifting showing her hair. It's just kind of an eye-opener to show that, the toll this takes as far as converts to Islam, they are immediately put through the paces and just sort of put down, and even their previous accomplishments can no longer be showed or congratulated. It's all about, don't show me anymore. I'm a woman. I have to hide myself. And it's just a significant loss. It was very sad to see. Obviously, it's her decision, but it's just sad to see someone stomp all over her in this religion. Anyways, keep up the podcast. You guys are doing great work. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's it's always just a really amazing thing to watch someone actively participate in their own repression, in their own subjugation.
Yeah, absolutely. And this retroactive covering thing. It's like not even old pictures of her hair can be out there. Like that's just wow. That's taking it seriously.
Yeah. We're gonna need to erase your history now.
Yeah.
And
that's too bad.
Thanks for joining our religion. Let's just get rid of you if we could.
Well,
let's just make sure that.
I mean, this is just more obvious, but you're absolutely right, Dan. Like, get rid of you. And isn't that the message of religion? Is that you're not good enough, and you have to change, and you have to be something different, right?
Right. You know that thing that you are that God created? Let's fix that.
Yeah.
Let's not be that
good
anymore.
God. Yeah. Ugh. Boy.
Well, Jared wrote into us, hey guys, love your show. I've been thinking lately about the blatant hypocrisy in most evangelical circles. Yeah. Which one? You're going to have to be more specific, especially with regards to the latest Falwell scandals. It reminded me of a few things from my younger years. For instance, I almost went to a Christian college in Colorado that had very similar rules as Liberty U. No drinking, no smoking, no sex, multiple weekly church services, etc. I didn't attend mainly because tuition was too high. But now I'm an atheist. Glad I dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
I also used to work for an evangelical youth organization called Young Life. Not to be confused with the largely Mormon Young Living, which is a multi-level smelly oil company.
Yeah.
Anyway, the director of in my area was a jackass in a lot of ways. For instance, most volunteers were over the age of 21, but he made a rule that leaders could not drink in public. He wanted us to, quote, set a good example. Meanwhile, he would go out bar hopping in the small college town where we all lived on a routine basis. In addition to other stupid nonsense, he would also shame volunteers for not praying seriously enough during the 6 a.m. prayer meetings. Anyway, I thought you might enjoy this.
Peeks
Jared.
into their hearts. That's not a sincere
exactly.
prayer.
I'm pretty sure that wasn't sincere. You've got to do it again. Jesus, I heard a story just this week about some Mormon guys who I can't be too specific about this because I don't want it getting back to anybody, but a bunch of Mormon guys who are like, they don't want to work to like do business with non-Mormons because they feel like because they want to make sure that everything's on the up and up and that they have the blessings of Jesus Christ in their endeavors. Meanwhile, every year they take a trip to Vegas and on that trip avail themselves of sex workers.
What?
So, as well as gambling and drinking. So,
Oh my God.
hypocrisy is the hallmark of religion in general. Like, religion is, it's what we were talking about, right? Religion, as Christopher Hitchens said, it tells you that you're sick and commands you to be well.
Right.
So, yeah, what it does is it tells you that all the things that are you naturally, that are good and inherent about yourself,
Right,
are evil. And so, yeah, basically you get all of these hypocrites are just sort of swinging back and forth between honoring their own real self and honoring their bullshit imposed religious self. Anywho, hey, we have some folks. We've got some people to thank.
we sure do,
And
Dan.
I'm going to start.
Okay.
We had a one-time donation, a lovely one-time donation from Cosmic. So thank you so much, Cosmic. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And we also have some new patrons over on Patreon. We have 2 new deacons, Brendan and Dr. H. Thank you to the both of you.
Congratulations on your new priesthood. Well done.
And we have 2 new priests, Dan.
Woof.
We have Jasmine and Victoria.
Oh, wow.
So thank you to the both of you.
I do love it when we
as well.
confer priesthood on women. That is a particular joy for me.
Absolutely. And
So praise be to you.
as always, Dan, we have our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Amazing. You guys, thank you. We love it. I think all of you should be giving if you can. It's a good thing to do. You can do it. You just go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com. It's that simple. Click through the support us thing, and you're there.
Dan,
Yes.
Here's the deal, and I'm growing tired of it. I'm really like at my breaking point, and it's not so much that the year has gone so poorly, right? And that things just keep getting sort of, we have pestilence and wild, crazy, weather phenomenon. It's not that really pisses me off. It's all of the 2020. Of course something's going wrong. It's 2020, and we're all doing it. I'm doing it, and I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it as a rhetorical thing. I'm tired of it as just conceptually, like, it fucking sucks. We all know it, right? That's where I'm at.
Yeah, but like, you got to give room for people to just process the bullshit any way they can.
Yeah,
because
I know. I'm done with it though.
It's crazy right now. I don't know if our listeners know this, but I mentioned it at the top of the show. So many trees are knocked down in Salt Lake City. You have you can't imagine the destruction in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Just trees on crushing houses, demolishing cars across the street, blocking traffic, because we had in Salt Lake City, a landlocked city surrounded by mountains, we had hurricane level winds.
Yeah.
2 days ago, it was madness.
Yeah.
Just
seriously
sustained for hours.
Oh yeah,
it
wouldn't stop. Like the warning was like, brace yourself tonight, right? That was Monday night,
right?
And like, lock down your trampolines, right? And then, like, come morning, it was insane.
It was just devastation.
Power gets knocked off, right? For like, probably like a third of the valley or something. Like, the numbers are just insane of people without power.
Yeah,
and it's just so like, apocalypse, right? Like, I get it.
And this is the same year that Salt Lake City, and this is just our little neck of the woods. We also had, right at the beginning of the pandemic, when everything was shut down, we had an earthquake. Yeah. So it's like, and not a small earthquake,
no.
a really noticeable earthquake with lots of aftershocks that were shaking us for a few days afterwards.
A few weeks. It was obnoxious.
So you guys, we're feeling it.
Yeah.
We understand it. It feels like the end of the world. Other places, I mean, all of you Californians are going to write into us and say, have you seen any pictures of here?
Yeah.
Because there it's crazy. There were hurricane-force winds.
Our trees fell over. They just don't have any left.
Well, yeah.
They keep burned up.
Yeah, and I still don't even know if the baby was a boy or a girl. So
That's true. That's the one detail in the story they never say.
Yeah.
The gender reveal party.
Somebody tell us whether it was a boy or a girl. By the way, stop having gender reveal parties. It's a really stupid concept. Just don't do it anymore. Cut it out. I know you want an excuse to throw a party. I get it, but just stop doing that.
Were they wearing masks? Were they wearing masks?
We don't. Right?
I doubt it.
And also, we don't care if your baby has a penis. You still don't know what the gender of that baby is. That's a good point. But we'll get into that another time.
That's a good point, Dan.
Okay, so yes. 2020, we've got pestilence, we've got a worldwide pandemic, we've got a lot of shit hitting the fan. We lost Kobe Bryant.
Oh, that's
How are we gonna survive this thing? So it feels like I can understand why a Christian believer would say, this feels like the end of days.
Yeah.
This is the apocalypse as taught to us in the book of Revelation.
Yeah, except they're
happening.
missing the one key important detail, which is the Antichrist in the White House.
Right. Yeah,
like,
well, they...
the biblical description of the Antichrist, if you're going to just look at it, right,
He really does tick the boxes
it's kind of
pretty
Donald
good.
Trump, right? But they refuse to look at that one, the most obvious, blatant one.
Right. Somehow they got through the entire Obama administration, and he never turned out to be the actual Antichrist that they were positive that he was,
Right.
which is shocking to all of them.
Right. And then they actually get one.
Now we've got a guy who literally, if you go down the line of the attributes of the Antichrist, we got him. There he is. But yeah, they haven't noticed that yet. So, yeah, you got an apocalypse here. It's crazy. Here's the thing, though. This is a bad year.
Mm-hmm.
But bad years fucking happen, man.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about an apocalypse year? I mentioned this a little bit in the Frank and Dan Diaries. Available to many of our patrons. Please see our Patreon for more details. We were talking about...
Nice plug.
The fact of... the year 1666 in London.
Yeah.
Now, Salt Lake City in the year 2020 feels a little crazy, a little nuts.
Right.
But if you were in London in 1666, holy fucking shit. That was the year that there was a resurgence of plague, of the Great Plague, from 1665 into 66, which killed an estimated 100,000 people, almost a quarter of London's population in 18 months. So, we're well over 100,000 people here in the United States from coronavirus, but that's not even close to a quarter of our population.
Right.
So yeah, think in terms of 1 in every 4 people is dead from the plague, and then your whole city burns down.
Right.
Basically, everything burned. It destroyed 13,200 houses.
Oh, my God.
87 parish churches. St. Paul's Cathedral, which now the new St. Paul's Cathedral is beautiful. So,
yeah.
Thanks,
good.
Christopher Wren, for rebuilding. But yeah.
And I will say this, Dan. I mean, you're talking about fire destroying things. That abandoned dry cleaner on 900 South burned down yesterday.
That's true. It's roughly equivalent. It's basically tomato at this point. Yeah. They estimate that 70,000 of the city's 80,000 inhabitants lost their homes.
Jesus Christ.
In the fire.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean,
and somehow that wasn't. It was the year. There was a 666 in the year.
It had 666 in the year.
And somehow that wasn't the end of the world. I think we're fine.
I think we're going to be okay,
except for the end of the world that we are bringing upon ourselves.
Right. Well, there is that
the climate catastrophe that is coming up.
Yeah. And the Lord seems unable to enact an actual apocalypse.
Right.
He seems pretty entirely impotent on that front.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all supposed to happen within a generation of Jesus dying.
Right.
Did not happen. I don't mean to spoil the book for you. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But yeah, the apocalypse didn't happen within a generation or even within 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Though
his timing of the creation of America was off, right? Like he needed to get around to creating America sooner. Right? Because we're doing a really good job of destroying things.
Yeah, it's true. What's nice is what the Lord was incapable of doing, humanity is accomplishing for him. So that's considering that we are literally raising the temperature of the earth to a point where every year is catastrophic fires in California and
now we're getting bizarro weather patterns. I mean, that's part of it, right? Is
crazy winds in Salt Lake City,
more frequent and more powerful events. And boy, this was a doozy. Like when it was forecast, I was like, oh yeah, 3 years ago there was that big windstorm up in Davis County. It was just awful.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just gonna be another one of those, right? Batten down the hatches. And then it was just fucking hell.
Yeah. Really, genuinely, guys, I took a tour of the Salt Lake City cemetery up in the avenues in Salt Lake today just to sort of survey the damage. And there are, enormous trees just pulled up by the roots, taking headstones with them as they're pulled up and crushing headstones below them. Yeah. And it's in the dozens of trees.
Did you see the City Hall? City and County building?
Oh, no.
You didn't go by City Hall?
No, I that's one that I haven't gone by. I went up to the state capitol, which also lost a bunch of trees.
I bet they lost a lot of trees. They probably lost more trees up there than the City County building did. But I was like, oh God.
Yeah, it's actually kind of devastating. It's trees are beautiful and they make life nicer. So we lost a bunch of those. One person died, so we did lose a little bit of life. But yeah, it's good to keep a little bit of perspective. In all of this, because as much as as tempting as it is to say these are the end of days, we're not those guys. You know what I mean? That's their gig.
Well, and to be honest, if COVID wasn't happening, right? And if Donald Trump wasn't the president, which Donald Trump exacerbated COVID in this country, obviously, right? So that would have been, just something that we were dealing with. Most of the advanced world is just dealing with it. Instead, we're suffering through it. If those two things, though, weren't going on, we would have had an earthquake earlier this year. And we would have had a big windstorm right now, and we'd be like, wow, what a weird year. Instead of hashtag fuck 2020,
Yeah. But we're all depressed because we were quarantined and we were staying at home. We're sheltering at home, and
I know.
We're not going to movies, and it sucks.
I know. When the power was out, and the power was out at work too. So I was just well, I can't even I can't do anything. I can't dial into my computer from home, and I can't go and work at the computer at work. So I'm just sitting at home, and then I'm just sitting, and I'm there's a storm going on outside. There's no power. Yeah. I'm well, fuck me. What am I supposed to do? I was just this is great. And so I spent, I had my phone, the internet was working on my phone. So I was able to do that.
Yeah.
I played some Animal Crossing because the Switch was, had a good charge on it. And I'm just
it's kind of nuts though. It's very funny when we're reduced to just our phones, when the only screen available to us is our phones, suddenly we feel like Little House on the Prairie. We're gonna put on our long pants now and go and do small talk with down at the Five and Dime, I guess, because what else is?
I know, and I kept trying to come up with stuff to keep myself busy, right? So I'm well, I'm gonna round up all the supplies we're gonna need to have the power out for a couple days, and so I'm rummaging around for candles and finding batteries for the little lantern and everything. I'm just and then 10 minutes later, I'm well, fuck, that didn't take very long, right? I'm just okay, what's next? Turn on the Switch again, and what's my little guy up to? Let's go plant.
You're
some
such
flowers.
A gamer.
Let's plant flowers and catch some fish and bugs.
Yeah.
Oh golly, no, Dan.
Well,
it's a good point though. And it's good to keep it in perspective. I think that's a good message.
And don't let your Christian friends talk about it as an apocalypse either.
Yeah,
fuck that shit.
Remind them about London, 1666.
Remind them about London, 666.
Hashtag not 1666. That should be the hashtag.
That's right.
Anyway.
So anyway, hey, if you want to write into us and tell us why this is in fact the apocalypse and we are very wrong, please feel free to do so. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. And guys, if you like what you hear on the show, go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. There's instructions for how you can support the show.
Also, you can go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button where there's a lot of cool things. There's snippets to share.
Yeah,
Frank.
It's fun. It's cool.
You can go. We got a cool little player. It's got a little line on it that wiggles when we talk. It's snippetable. We're snippetable.
I know. And if you are on Facebook, you should also search for the members, the TGIA members only lounge. You request to join. It's a closed group. It's awesome. And you can find us on Twitter at TGIA Atheist.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And a big thanks goes out to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.